Hello, my young friends. Welcome to Storytime in my secret garden. I've already got some little friends that are joining us for Storytime. Are you ready to hear the story of Mulberry Bee? Let's begin. Once upon a time, not so long ago, lived a little bee whose name was Little Bee. She lived in a happy place. It wasn't a perfect place, but the insects who lived there were happy. They all went about their days doing what they were created to do. The bees spent their days buzzing from flower to flower, collecting pollen to make honey. The silkworms spent their days eating mulberry leaves and spinning silk. The tiny ants spent their days working and working and working. The spiders spent their days spinning beautiful sticky webs to catch flies. The pretty red ladybirds with black dots spent their days flying away home. The stinky pinky dung beetles spent their days rolling and pushing balls of dung to their dung heaps. The beautiful butterflies spent their days flitting and flying and creating a sky full of color. And the dragonflies spent their days skiing on the cool waters of the streams and lakes. But in this happy place, Little Bee was not happy. She was sad. She was tired of being a boring bee who only made honey. She wanted to be different. She wanted to be like the other insects. She would go to Mommy Bee and say, "Mommy, I want to be like my friend Dung Beetle and roll dung." "You weren't created to roll dung, Little Bee," said Mommy Bee. "You don't have strong back legs like Dung Beetle. You were created to make honey. God, our Creator, has made each of us perfectly and wonderfully, and we can only be happy if we do what we were made to do." But Little Bee had a stubborn heart and decided she was going to roll and push dung like her friend Dung Beetle. She got some dung from her friend Dung Beetle, and she tried and tried to push the dung ball, but her legs weren't strong enough. She just got tired, and she didn't like the stinky, smell of dung. Little Bee was sad and miserable, and she went back to buzzing from flower to flower, collecting pollen to make sweet honey. But Little Bee was still not happy. She wanted to be like the other insects. So she went to Mommy Bee and said, "I want to be like my friend Ladybird and have black dots on my back." "Oh, Little Bee," said Mommy Bee, "you weren't created with black dots. You were created with beautiful black stripes, and God has created you perfectly and wonderfully." "But black dots are much prettier than black stripes," said Little Bee with an ugly frown. Little Bee had a stubborn heart. She decided to make her own black dots. She took some black dung and mixed it with some water. She rolled it into little black dots and got her friend Ladybird to stick the black dung dots on her back with gum from the gum tree. Little Bee felt happy for a little while until she realized that she didn't really look pretty after all. She actually just looked a mess. It looked like she had black chicken pox. She didn't smell sweet like honey anymore. In fact, she stank. The other problem with the black dung dots was that the next morning the dew had washed the dots off Little Bee's back. Little Bee was once again sad and miserable, and she went back to buzzing from flower to flower, collecting pollen to make sweet, delicious honey. A few days later, Little Bee was playing with her friend Silkworm. She saw all the beautiful silk that Silkworm was spinning. She thought the silk was so beautiful and that it would be better to make silk than honey. "Mommy," said Little Bee, "I want to spin silk like Silkworm. Silk is much better than honey." "Oh, Little Bee," said Mommy Bee, "you weren't created to spin silk. You don't have tiny holes in your jaws to spin threads of silk. God has made you to make honey, and we can only be happy if we do what we were created to do." But Little Bee had a stubborn heart. and she decided to eat mulberry leaves for a few days. So for a few days, Little Bee sat under the mulberry tree, eating and eating and eating mulberry leaves. Little Bee decided to also eat the fallen mulberries, as she thought that would make even prettier silk. She ate and ate mulberry leaves and mulberries until she was so round and fat she could hardly move. She slowly buzzed home. When she got home, she tried and tried to spin silk, but nothing happened. She just got dizzy from turning round and round in circles. She was sad and miserable and had a terrible tummy ache from all the many mulberries she had eaten. When Mommy Bee saw Little Bee, she gasped in fright. "Little Bee, what has happened to you? Are you sick? What happened to your yellow stripes? They are all purple. What have you done?" "Oh, Mommy, I was so silly. I thought if I ate lots and lots of mulberries and mulberry leaves, I would be able to spin beautiful silk like Silkworm. I tried, but all I got was a sore tummy and dizziness." "Oh, Little Bee, when will you learn?" asked Mommy Bee as she hugged Little Bee. "You will never be happy trying to be like everyone else. You were created as a very special little bee to make wonderful honey and help pollinate flowers. No other insect in the whole wide world can do that. That is what you were created to do. We all have different and special things we can do, and that is what makes this world such a wonderful and creative place. We need to do our special things well, so that we can praise and bring glory to our Creator. Only then will you be happy." "I think I understand," said Little Bee. "But what about my purple stripes?" "Well, I think we will have to change your name and call you Mulberry Bee," said Mommy Bee. "Your purple stripes certainly make you different, and they will always be a reminder to you of the lesson that you learned today. When other bees ask about your purple stripes, you can tell them your story to show that you can only be happy if you do what you were created to do." From that day on, Mulberry Bee buzzed happily from flower to flower, collecting pollen to make sweet, delicious, yummy honey. When you eat honey, you will always know if it is mulberry bees, as the honey she makes has a slight mulberry flavor. It is very special honey. I'm not sure if you will ever see a mulberry bee buzzing from flower to flower in your garden, but if you do, remember the lesson she learned. You will never be happy unless you are doing what you were created to do and being what you were created to be. You and I were wonderfully created by God to serve and worship Him, but we can only be truly happy if we do what He created us to do. When we want to go our own way and seek happiness our way, we end up sad, just like Mulberry Bee. It is only when she discovered the joy of being what God created her to be that she was really happy. The end. I hope you will join me another day in my secret garden for story time. Bye for now.